Good evening, afternoon, and morning, everybody. Welcome to the Unpaid and Underrated podcast, the podcast for crew by crew. I am Big Joey.
And I am Big Keith.
And this week, we have our guest host. That's right, Mr. Beautiful Baby 1972, Big Scants, the granddad of the crew. Welcome in, my friend. Welcome in.
What's going on, boys?
Now,
howdy.
Right off the bat, tell me what it's like being Mr. Beautiful Baby 1972.
I mean, it's a title that not many people can hold. A lot of training went into that. You know, it's not something you can just get off the couch and win. It's just, it's all about getting down there, getting to war with the bar, Joey, as you well know. And yeah, that's about it, boys.
I'd like to say
nothing on the table.
If you're not here, because you're not here, we're not recording video. The look on your face when I said that was wonderful. I really wanted that.
I enjoyed it.
First, I was wondering, I'm like, dudes, I was born in 1970, not 72. Thanks for thinking I look 51 instead of 50, whatever.
I wasn't giving you your birthday. That's the year you won, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Those statistics came from Mrs. Scants. This is the second week in a row I have slid into the DMs of the guest host significant other, so that'll probably be a trend that continues.
Boys. Oh yeah, bunch of trophy husbands here on this podcast. That's what the crew should be.
You should probably ask her what it's like to be married to the most beautiful baby, 1972.
All right, guy, what are you drinking? Scants, what are you drinking?
Keats, buddy. It's got to be Keats.
I've got a Keats waiting for me, but I always like to start with my sparkling water first to make sure I'm hydrated.
I usually go sparkling water first, but I had a pretty gnarly week, so we're doing Mick Ultra tonight. I got 3 of them lined up, so we'll see how many we get through.
Fine, twist my arm. I'll drink a Keats.
I have no concept of moderation, so I'm jumping right into Keats, boys.
I wanted to show off my sparkling water root beer from President's Choice. It is actually one of my favorite.
That sounds really good.
It's a good way to get that root beer flavor without any of the sugar. It goes really good.
Sparkling water.
Yeah, it goes really good with cigars. Or as for Big Murph out there, rut beer. I believe she liked it.
Stinking rut beer.
Yeah, drinking a rut beer.
Mr. Weston, be proud of you, Joey.
Who? Thought we weren't talking about that kind of stuff.
Canadian joke. Don't worry about it, Keith. You won't get it.
Buddy. We don't talk about politics on this podcast.
This is gonna. I gotta say, Keith, you're in for a doozy because you're gonna end up
here,
and you're gonna just end up asking a lot of what does that mean questions. Because somebody in the crew pointed out that they appreciate when you ask for clarification when I use Canadian terms. So get ready for some of that.
Nice. I'm not shy. I'll keep asking.
Now, I've got a couple things on the docket here, and then we've got some questions for Scants. And some of these, I think, what I want to do, I mentioned earlier before we jumped in here this week, is going to do some general tack with our co-host, guest host, and then we'll do a Massonomic style interview with them. Because, after all, this is the crew podcast, so we want the crew part of all of it. I hope.
Good, boys. Yep.
By crew.
Fired up.
Crew.
So tell me about something the C Team podcast, Keith. Fire on.
Yeah. So I want to say kind of like the roots of our podcast, Unpaid and Underrated podcast, stems back the last few months. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I was on the C Team podcast as a guest maybe 3 months ago or so. And the C Team podcast, if you're not familiar, it's a bunch of guys that are really good buddies with everyone from Let's Get Stupid and the Be Better podcast and Huck Finn Barbell Show and a couple others that are all just, geared. And there's a little niche world out there in the Chicago area. So they had me on as a guest, and their whole concept is they are a podcast about a podcast. At least that's how it started. It's kind of evolved into something else now, which in my opinion is better than what it was, but its roots was a podcast about a podcast. And I'm like, well, I'm in this huge Discord for Massonomics. They're a podcast. I've been on a bunch of other podcasts and have really enjoyed my time. Let's see if we can get a podcast going. I think I threw something in the general chat. I think it just must have been a busy day because I don't think it got any traction. I don't even think I got any reactions to it. And then a couple months later, or maybe a month later, I want to say Joey said something about a podcast. And then I was like, yeah, I mentioned that a month ago. Let's do it. And then I don't know. And then it kind of springboarded. Someone made one of the hosts made the Crewcast tab, and then we kind of went there for about a month and just pissed in the wind. It didn't really get any traction. And then, 5 or 6 of us started doing a couple group video calls, and a few months later, here we are on episode 2/3.
Yeah, the hosts really pushed us to this. I think I do kind of say that I got sick of talking about it, and I messaged Tanner one day and was like, make an event, I'm starting this. And then it could have dwindled off, but one of the hosts just kept saying, just kept saying it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and would have made us look stupid if it didn't happen.
Absolutely.
And
so I'm glad we made it work. I'm glad we're here.
We got to send a big thank you. Got to send a big thank you to Scants for helping us. There's a core 6 of us, I think, or 7, that really wanted to make this go. Speaking of one of the hosts and the Mothership podcast, what are we wearing today, guys?
I've got the 8-bit powerlifting t-shirt on myself.
Boys, I kicked her back to old school. I went to my first order ever placed. OG Huge Life. And of course, my Massonomics going out hat, and obviously a kilt because I'm not an animal.
I wore my kilt yesterday. I have my Massonomics is numero uno shirt going today. I wore my kilt yesterday out into the world, and I've never gotten so many compliments. I had just utter strangers walk up and ask me what my tartan is, why I'm wearing a kilt. And this other guy, we went to go to a restaurant, and he comes around, he gets out of his chair and he comes running. And he says, my daughter's just about to turn 9, and she's never seen a man in a kilt, and she thinks this is the coolest thing ever. So thank you. And I'm just like, I just don't like pants.
When you start getting the inappropriate comments, it's
what do you got under there? Nanya. That's what Nanya is.
Yeah, there was nothing better than a lady, what are you wearing under there? And I'm like, what are you wearing under there? I can't believe you asked me that. I'm like, you literally just asked me the same thing. Like,
yeah, when I was
kind of not appropriate, I don't think so.
When I was younger and a bit of a party animal, the women would just walk up and reach under. And that happened. That happened enough times that I was like, next person to do that's going to be a fight. Because
so that's not how you met your wife?
That is not how I met my wife. I met her at work wearing ridiculously tight khakis. Put the bait out and got the fish.
Buddy, put that vibe out.
More than just a vibe. I think you guys saw that in my deadlift video this week. Exactly what attracted her.
Trophy husband, buddy. That's arm candy life.
So what do we want to cover next, Keith?
Well, speaking of your deadlift, I think we all posted some garage gym competition videos this week. How did I can dive right into mine. So I posted my video tonight. Garage gym competition, if you're not familiar with it, Joe Gray puts it on every year, more recently twice a year. So if you have a home gym and you like, lifting, you can virtually submit all your lifts over the course of a week, or you can do it as a mock meet. Enter to win a crap ton of prizes. I think I don't quote me, it's $5,000-$10,000 worth of prizes ish. So you don't have to necessarily go for a PR, but if you do, that's great. We're always obviously in meet prep. So I cropped all my videos and just took the single of an easy triple this week and, posted my videos tonight. Everyone saw Joey's post from yesterday where he, was his member may or may not have been nice and, full frontal there for us all.
I couldn't read.
He did not have a kilt covering that one up.
I couldn't redo the video because I just saw it and I was like, I'm in meet prep. I'm not even supposed to be deadlifting this much weight right now, but I'm doing it just, for the gram. And I just had to put that video up there. This is my life. And this is what brings my kids to life.
So one would say it was
it is a thirst trap.
One would say it was a meat show for Joey.
Yeah. that meat got prepped. Guys, did you do anything for the GGC this year?
I did. I haven't cropped my videos yet. I kind of went out and, I'm still a little banged up from the last comp, so I did some unique lifts. I did a straight bar squat, which I haven't done in 6 months. So that's a unique lift for me. I did a bench press, but now my shoulders have told me I'm a close grip bencher, so that was unique. And I just did an axle pull. I'm coming off some little bit banged up, so nothing crazy. Just getting the name out there, getting some videos out there, and whatever. She's all good.
Some token lifts. That's all I think some of us are doing. I'm actually I'm 10 days away from my next meet.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to be sticking to heavy singles like every day. Instead, I was like, nah, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Don't forget to mention, too, that for every pound lifted, Joe donates to the Special Olympics, isn't it?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Big time.
So,
That's pretty well the main reason.
Yeah,
and
he's
it's great for the growth of the community. Like, it's just fantastic seeing everybody get it. You know, I enjoy the fact that the random, other than the new programmer, he's got a few key awards, but I mean, so far, my little fellow won an award one year with his high squats, but yeah, he's won one, and Mrs. Scants has actually won one. So, totally randomized. It's a fantastic program. Good on Joe for getting her going.
Yeah, it's the roots of my competing. That's why I said in my post, like, I enjoyed doing the GGC so much. I think it's what led me to joining a federation and actually competing in the next 2 weeks.
And sometimes you need that little impetus to on the base where I work, once a year we do a fun meet. It's in memory of a fellow that young fellow, he was a lifter that got killed a few years back, but we have a big base powerlifting team of pretty high level competitors, but we go out, the team runs the competition. Anybody can come out and do it. There's no rules. There's no uniform rules. We just do them under test conditions. You coach the guys through it, and it's all about having fun. And you always get 3 or 4 guys afterwards come up and talk to you. It's like, hey, listen, I really want to get into this. So it's just given that little opportunity to just get that little taste for competition can usually spur somebody into it.
Yeah, that's the progression I did, is the GGC and then an unsanctioned, and then I was like, that's it, I'm in. I wanted to talk about something related a little bit to the podcast, and I've told this story so many times that I sometimes forget details. And this is, of course, just to make everybody hopefully laugh a little bit, because they were talking about, that dirty Chinese food type of thing, where you go to the restaurant, you get your fried rice and your chow mein, and it's just Americanized Chinese food. So in the small town that my mother just sold her house in Cayuga, Ontario, okay, there was this little restaurant that she just discovered one day. And we used to go out to the farm every year, and we had what's called the big corn roast. And there'd be 100 of us out there. And then everybody would leave, and at night was like the core family, and we'd all party and then get up the next morning and go for breakfast. So she said, we got to go here because it's really cheap and it's really good. So we all sat down. This guy was not expecting this many of us. It was kind of crazy. But he owned a Chinese food restaurant who just wanted to open up a breakfast restaurant. And if I'm going to tell this story as it happened, because honestly, you'll probably think I'm making it up. So I'm with a couple of my best friends, my brother, and some other people. We all walk in and we sit down, and there's I believe 2 people in the kitchen, and then the owner is out taking our orders. So he walks out and looks me dead in the eyes. I'm not going to do the accent, but I will tell you he had a very, very obvious accent, like pronounced, because I guess he lives in China for most of his time, and he just comes to Canada to do business. And he looks me dead in the eyes and said, do you want brown water? And I went, what? He goes, brown water. Do you want brown water? And I look at my mom, I'm going, what? And she leans in, she goes, he means coffee. Oh, yeah. Give me all the brown water in the world. So he comes out and he pours us all the coffee, and he's giving us the milk. And then he comes up, and of course, we're all wondering where our menus are at this rate. But who cares? Like, I'm sure he'll bring them in a second. So no, he comes up with a pen and pad, and he just says, breakfast 1 or breakfast 2. and I go, I don't know. And I look at my friend and I go, well, breakfast 1 or breakfast 2? And he goes, I don't know. So I asked the guy, what's the difference? Doesn't this man turn and point at a big sign on the wall that just says breakfast 1, $9.99, breakfast 2, $11.99? It gives you no details.
No details. That's great.
Anything. That was probably the funniest thing. Well, yeah, came with home fries.
I'm going 2.
And it was like the funniest. Like, I felt like I was in a skit. I kind of felt I was being punked because he just had that ready with no help on the wall. I thought that was a really funny story. Every time I tell that one, I feel Like there's no way that happened. Tell me that did not just happen. And then the bacon was ready in 3 seconds. So I think he just had like the biggest pile of bacon set up, just waiting for everybody. Anyway, that's
There was
my
probably
story.
bacon in number 1 and number 2 then.
Yeah. So that's my silly story for the week.
Now you got me curious though. Did everyone so around the table, was it kind of an equal number 1 versus number 2 to where you could actually see what you missed out on since you wouldn't know when you ordered?
Well, my mom ended up just yelling at one comes with home fries. Like we figured that out eventually, but she was gonna let me suffer through. And of course,
your
it was
mom
me.
had been there.
Yes,
Gotcha.
but of course it was me.
that.
He didn't go to anybody else. Nobody. It had to be me that he went to and demanded breakfast 1 or breakfast 2, so I could go. I don't know. So yeah, that's my silly story for the week, and I hope that makes people laugh. And one day I want to recreate that because there's no way that just happened. Keith, what is this about a member of the gym?
Yeah, so one of the hosts has talked about it a few times in Discord. I don't know that he's ever mentioned it on the podcast, but there's definitely been some talk of Dante Culpepper being a member of the gym in Massonomics in Aberdeen because he used to play for a minute. So first, I know Scants should know. I would hope Scants knows who Dante Culpepper is, right?
I'm thinking football, buddy.
Oh, well, the fact that you knew football, you know. Okay, so Joey, have you ever heard the name Dante Culpepper before?
No.
Okay, so quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, which is the somewhat local team to Aberdeen, if you will. I think it's 6 hours away.
I know of football teams, right?
So Minnesota Vikings quarterback in late 90s, early 2000s. Cool. So one of the hosts just mentioned that he was a member of the gym offhandedly, and I'm assuming it was a witty joke or banter in response to something else, but I don't know. But he just brought it up again the other day, saying that Dante was the only one that had his own private locker at the gym. So it's kind of like, I'm assuming it's one of the dozens of just running jokes of like things that aren't really real that they always talk about, but I don't know. I think I actually even Googled like where Dante Culpepper lives like currently, and it was kind of like ambiguous and didn't necessarily say. I think it was like a couple months ago when they first had talked about it, and I hadn't thought about it ever since until like 2 days ago they had brought it up again.
I don't think you can just Google the quarterback's addresses.
Yeah, well, more like on his Wikipedia, currently resides in his hometown of such and such,
yeah,
or
got it, okay.
So and so.
Well, I'm gonna have to say no because if you had your own private locker at the Massonomics gym, why would you not have that in your bio top line? Like that's ridiculous.
Very true.
It's a missed opportunity.
Got my own locker, some football stuff or whatever. Anyways, blah blah. Priorities, right?
Now, on the topic of lockers, so the one host that recently moved away, if I was him, I think I would have kept my claim on my locker because even if I come back twice a year, that's still my locker. I was one of the founding fathers of this gym. I'm on the podcast. I think I get a locker in this gym in perpetuity forever. So that was kind of surprising that he gave up the locker. I don't think I would have. I would have had a hard time doing that.
I think that particular host is just a nice guy.
And that's probably why I wouldn't do it, because I might not be.
He gave that locker to that young version of him. He passed the torch to new podcast host guy. Almost got me.
The first one that did it.
Almost got me. No, I did it earlier. But we'll figure that out. So if you have been listening, this is your timestamp. Where we bring on our guest. Should we get our guest on the horn?
Yeah, let's see if I can get him on the ringer.
All right, Big Scants, is that you?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hey, welcome.
You are live
Unpaid and underrated, Mr. Scants.
You are live.
Is this live?
Podcast.
Are we live?
This thing?
You can.
So, I think that the first thing I see our list of questions, and there's some really, really good questions. But first, I think I just want to ask, who are you? In 30 seconds or less.
Who am I? An old dude that just likes picking up heavy stuff, showing off for my wife and my kids. That's pretty well about it. Not taking tough too serious, boys. Too old for that.
And how are you kind of... and I will actually say that you are one of the reasons I'm in Massonomics, I think. Because you were always kind of the most welcoming at the beginning there. Yeah, I think you reached out to me first about the GGC, and I was already kind of following Massonomics, but you kind of brought me in So, you are a great ambassador. So tell me about your role with Massonomics in particular. Tell me what it's like to be the mole.
That was actually quite a journey. The mole talk came up. I got asked about being the mole. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, boys. I can totally take care of that. And everything went silent for a while, and then suddenly it's like, I wonder if this is going to happen or not. And then stuff started bubbling up, and it was like, with all the mole talk and everything going on, it's like there started this self-doubt. I'm like, damn it, am I the mole? Am I the only one that doesn't know? Does everybody else know? Like, and so there was a good bit of chaos and self-doubt, but it was, I can't remember what it was that come up. The boys had big plans on the next event and all that kind of stuff, and things started getting in the way, and it just started stretching out a little bit. And then I actually kind of thought it was done, and then it was like somebody reaches out and he's like, "You want to get this going?" I'm like, "Yeah, buddy, let's go, man." So yes, it was good being the mole. I was dropping some hints out there. Not a lot of people, I don't think anybody picked up on it. Somebody fired it out once they had it. I think it might have been Eddie.
Yeah, I think Jen was the first to call you out, wasn't it?
Hey, Big Nate, the editor of the podcast, here to interrupt you with a very important fact. I was the first person to guess it was Scants. I also guessed the contest exactly, that it would be a reveal challenge, so just needed to set the record straight. All right, back to the podcast.
I think it might have been, but I dodged. I did, straight dodgeball of 5Ds, right?
Yep.
And I ducked that one pretty well. And,
we got a confused look. Has Keith seen it?
Dodgeball 5Ds. What?
Yep. Has Big Keith seen it?
Oh my God, Keith! How old are you, man?
What are the 5Ds?
How was it? I mean, is it from the movie Dodgeball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate that movie. It's so dumb. I hate stupid movies. Like, I like some stupid movies, but some stupid movies, like, I don't know. Some of them are just too stupid for me. Like, I can't get on board with a handful of the really dumb movies, but then other ones, I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. But...
Yeah, but I mean, this is all about life. You got to, dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
I did like when he threw a wrench and hit the person right in the face. That I enjoyed.
That's it. Because if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Yep.
That's it. So, yeah, no, it was fun being the mole. It was great. It was cool just getting out there to announce it. Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun time. I'm glad the boys just let me get involved in that. So
I think everybody's money was it was Eddie or Matt. I think it was Eddie. I think I definitely thought it was Eddie for the longest time, just because he had so much more inside scoop and would, show up everywhere they were, and he had connections with like 20 different. He was in a picture with a different crew member every other weekend with all his travels and stuff. So it was just like it had to be Eddie. But
it was classic misdirect.
There we go.
It was a classic misdirect.
Yep, that's it. But it was good though. I also didn't have to participate in any contest because the skills of the crew have generally outstripped my capacity to get beyond my 8-bit memes. So
yeah.
Well, I won that competition.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I won that contest, and it was a great scandal, which is why two Canadians right now chatting. It's probably making so many people mad.
I will tell you, and you're the second Canadian I pulled for something when we did the the Strength Co Halloween plates.
Yep.
Total random, and I pulled Big Tyler, and I'm like, I am going to take so much friggin' heat for this. Like this is going to be bad, and it was totally random. And as soon as I posted it up, I started getting, this is bullshit. It's Canadian. I'm like, dudes, no. So it was, that was good. Those are a couple good contests to get into, but I mean, especially that, for the people who don't know that the Massonomics video contest they had for that, I got to help judge on it. That was probably one of the most grueling things I've had to do in a long time, man. All the videos are fantastic. And then I even brought Mrs. Scants in as a tiebreaker. I'm like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And I gauged that little 0.1 on her reactions. But it was like, that was friggin' brutal. I was sweating it. And the other fellows were just like, nah, nobody gets a 5. And I'm like, dudes, there's definitely a 5 out here, man. So
yeah, that was the start of the disappointed Massonomics wife jokes.
Yeah.
the annoyed Massonomics wives.
Yeah.
Isn't there like
better than the wives
for them
getting
too,
flashed?
Yeah, Kevin did flash his wife.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that was his wife.
Yeah, it was.
Hopefully that was Kevin.
Stunt cock.
That's good.
I'm waiting to see what the next contest. It's got to be coming up soon, boys. This is
yeah, they've been hitting at it, but
yeah.
I'm curious if it's all going to play in with the July meet or not. Because I mean, it's getting to where I don't think they can run a contest leading up to the meet. Like it's so close. They're going to be so busy doing meet stuff. I don't know. Maybe they will, but I honestly think it'll be more of a late summer thing, and they just got to power through to get through the meet.
Well, and you got to you want to space it out a wee bit too. You know what I mean? Again, when we did that video contest, it was, I can't even remember what it was, but there's a few things that come up and it was like, there's no use overwhelming it with everything that's going on. Let's, spread the contest and stuff out. So yeah, I don't see it's going to be tied up to the classic, the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic. So, but yeah, probably late summer or something.
I think they mentioned it might be tied. I think I mentioned it might be tied to a product, right? Like they did the drink spotter, bouncy ball thing. Who somebody who's not even active anymore won that one, and really all you had to do was just cheat and do the green screen thing that people on TikTok do. I don't know why nobody did that, because what you do is
that kid at?
You put somebody in a green suit and you just have them move the ball around, and it looks like you're doing great trick shots, but it's really just somebody just moving the ball around for you.
And wouldn't you have to have like the background too, or is it that you can just edit out the green so the green suit is in place of the green screen? I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how they do those trick shots on the internet. Except I think Turner actually was pretty good at it.
I haven't seen. Yeah, you had mentioned like he fell off the face of the earth. I don't know where he's been. I haven't seen him post anything in the Discord in months.
No, he's posting a lot on Instagram. Hopefully he's keeping on though. He's a good kid.
Yeah, he's got a lot I think he had a lot on the plate there. I think he was changing jobs and been a few things like that there too. So, and I mean, technically it was his missus that landed that shot, if I recall.
Well, then I hope she got the gold spotter. I've got some questions from the Instagram story. Speaking of the Instagram story, posting memes. So that meme about just everybody wanting to talk about Scants being old, I thought was really well done. I had fun making that one. I was standing at work during a slow period, giggling like a ninny, staring at my phone.
Technically, at my age, you could ask me the same question again and again, and I'd just think it was a new question. Like, wow, that's a good question, boys. I need to think about that.
That'd
for
be
a second.
good bit.
That's a good-looking question.
If we get Scants on like 6 months from now or so, we should literally just keep the same show notes and see if he notices, because he's not going to remember that I just said that.
Oh, dude, we could probably do it. We could probably do it in an hour and a half if you guys want to film another episode. You can just put it later. All right, hit me, boys. What do we got? Yes, old.
I got one here from Big Keith Honeycutt. Is it? I might be saying that wrong.
That sounds like a fake. That sounds like a fake name.
Yeah.
He wants to know where did the Friday Garage reveal inspiration come from? And if you are listening and you don't know, Scants is Garage reveal on Friday.
That one actually came with. This is a deep cut. Way back in the days when a certain member of a certain podcast used to do the weather forecasts in Aberdeen, and I was sitting there one day and I was just getting ready, just goofing around on a Friday, getting ready for a deadlift session, and I was like, maybe I'll do our own forecast, because there was the Western, Northeast, South Dakota weather forecast. So I decided to do my own lifting forecast one Friday, and I think the first one it just had like my deadlifter shirt. It's like, guess what the forecast calls for. So it started, and a couple guys laughed at it, which I will put in hours of work to make somebody knows laugh. Like, I mean, and yeah, it's quite funny. I keep it going. I've had like random people who I don't even know where each other. Like, dude, I look for this every Friday. This makes me laugh. I'm like, shit, you're on, boys. I'll keep her going as well as I can. So it gets a little not troublesome. It gets a little tricky sometimes if we're traveling, or so I've had to make do a couple times coming out of the ocean or coming out from behind curtains at a hotel, or the British tube one time. That was sending my wife on the tube ahead of me. It's like, okay, get ready because I'm going to be in this car and just be there for the door to open. And so, anyways, yeah, it was. I don't know. It just started with that, and it became the. I don't know, just kind of something I do. I hope
I
it
got
makes
one for you,
people
buddy.
laugh.
So, Mr. Scants, have you listened? And I'm going to judge you very harshly on this, depending on what your answer is. Have you listened to every episode of the Massonomics podcast?
Of course I have.
Attaboy. That is an answer I appreciate.
Yep.
One of my good friends hasn't had a chance to go through the whole backlog yet. And I just personally feel he's missing out on the full experience.
First of all, how dare you?
And
Second of all,
No, I'll put the caveat in here. It's so I don't know if the question will come out because we had before, like, how'd you come on to the Massonomics itself? So I had
you did what to him?
Like, how did you come on to the yeah?
I got that.
How'd you get across it? How'd you pick it up? So I never my wife and we got posted to Ottawa, so we were sent to Ottawa, and I worked at a job that was a 10-minute drive from my house. So I didn't even bother listening to the radio or anything like that. And then after a few months, it's like, yeah, so you got to go work this other place now. And it's like 50 minutes each way. And I'm like, within 3 days of listening to the same tunes again, I'm like, dude, I got to do something else. So I was like, what the hell are these podcasts? We'll see what this is all about. This is back 2016, 2017 type of thing. And so I'd read some of the boys' articles and stuff before. I used to follow, the Massonomics, Joe DeFranco, long time follower, Elite FTS, and all this kind of stuff, right? And anyways, I started trying to figure out, all right, I'll listen to some podcasts and see what kind of appeals to me. And the first two I went with were the Industrial Strength Show and the Massonomics one. So that was relatively early on. I can't remember what episode number, but this would have been 2017.
So been, in the no more than 100, I imagine at that point.
No,
probably
I think it's still double.
I
think it's
50s.
Double digits, right? So
yeah,
for me to go back and check out the back catalog was not. It's not like if somebody picks up the podcast now, that's a hell of a friggin' workload.
Oh yeah, it's very daunting
through,
at this
right?
point.
Yeah,
was it 370 some episodes right now?
That's it. And some of the earlier ones obviously were shorter, but then you look at how it's evolved after the lockdown, like getting into 2-hour episodes and stuff like that. So it's but it's funny too. I think the best way to do it is if you went reverse order, went back. So you wouldn't realize.
Oh
yeah. You go back to podcast number 1, like you go back to the original Party Cast. You're like, holy shit, man, this is utterly chaotic, dude. I can't even freaking track what's going on here, right? So
it's a big difference of stuff they could get away with saying 5-6 years ago that you get canceled today for sure. So you have to take it all with a grain of salt when you're listening to it in 2023. This was all recorded in 2016, 2017, 2018. It's just what was politically correct has definitely changed a lot in the last few years.
But even beyond that, same as you're going to see here, you saw kind of the phases of like as their banter got down. When Tyler left, it caused a shift in the dynamic, and the boys had to get the rhythm back. And same as anything else, same as here, the dynamic will change every additional episode until you kind of settle into your groove type of thing there. So, and into your groove. See what I did there?
I did.
It's all kind of a dad thing.
Go ahead. No, okay.
I was just going to ask if you. Yep.
I have one from Recent Tonomics. Sorry, Keith. I feel bad now.
You're good.
I have one from Recent Tonomics. Okay.
Hit me.
What do you take in your coffee, and what sides do you prefer on your coffee? So, like breakfast foods, maybe.
Oh, I eat breakfast every meal. God damn, I love breakfast. What do I take in my coffee? A little bit of milk and demerara sugar. It's a little bit sweet. No, Christ, no, just milk, not cream.
Oh, I can't stand cream.
But I take a few years back, I started taking demerara sugar. It's like a brown sugar, so you use a little less of it to get a little bit more of the sweetness. So, but what I have with my coffee, not much. It's all morning. I don't drink coffee after lunch, so I'll have 2-3 cups of coffee a day. Generally, one on my drive in, listen to a podcast if I can, and yeah, that's about it.
Now, would you normally have a hard-boiled egg with that?
I have 4 every day.
Hell yeah.
I get to work, and that's my 5 minutes of serenity. Have a little, my 4 hard-boiled eggs and a little bit of hot sauce, and if it's a lifting day, I have a bagel or something on the side, a little carbo.
So being Canadian, we didn't experience any of this egg shortage. So we were up here living like kings.
Oh my God, I was throwing eggs out just for dirt. I'd buy 2 packs and throw one out.
So I've got a 2-part follow-up here. Kind of get a little sidetrack here. All right. So Canadian breakfast versus an American breakfast. So that's part 1. And then part 2 is you guys are 6 hours apart or so, right? You know, you're middle Canadian.
18, 20 hours apart.
Okay. So completely different parts of the country. So is there a difference between your typical Canadian breakfast and Scants' typical Canadian breakfast? And where would that compare to a traditional American diner breakfast? Or are they all basically the same?
I think breakfast is breakfast. I'll have some scrambled eggs, some avocado. I don't like bacon as much as some people do because I find that I taste it all day. So if I'm lifting, I will not eat bacon because I do not want to taste that bacon halfway through a deadlift. So it's usually some eggs, some avocado, and I actually had to recently start eating toast with my stomach issues. But before that, I had no patience for toast, no patience for egg or bread at all.
I would say the one difference, and you brought up the word diner, I'll throw that. I am my wife and I are diner aficionados. We have gone on trips based literally on the diners we're stopping at. Went down to Big Chris Damager's neck of the woods, New Jersey, diner capital of the USA. That's a 7 or 8 day trip we had where we knew every diner we were going to stop at. The big issue, the big difference, the Americans use the shredded potatoes. We use more of the home fries, like cut up chunks of potatoes. But
I do find if you ask in advance, because most places, sorry to interrupt, this is a pretty touchy, this is something I put a lot of thought into. Most places will have home fries or hash browns, and you have to ask because every restaurant I go to considers one thing, and one the other. A lot of places will say hash brown is like the thing you would get from McDonald's, just like the deep fried potato log. Yeah. Other places will consider that like they'll call hash browns more of like the stringy potatoes. Other places, home fries are, I never know what the difference is until I ask the waitress, and it's not the same from restaurant A to B to C to D. I feel.
Always count yourself lucky. Always count yourself lucky to get
a bit of the British trend too, like especially in the East Coast. There's still a lot of ties back to Britain and all that kind of stuff. So you'll get tomatoes. Like if you go to a restaurant, if it's an older place, you might still get tomatoes and beans and an optional black pudding or something like that, right? Like a tie back to the traditional English breakfast, right? A full English. Which you are not going to find blood pudding down in the U.S.
Everything you just said just went over my head as far as that it's not stuff I'm going to find in a diner down the street for sure.
Yeah, and you probably not find it in a diner in Upper Canada either. That's more of an East Coast thing. We are very it's a little bit more related, still tied back to the UK. So
there was a Scottish restaurant here in where I'm from. That when I was living downtown on my own young bachelor days, I'd always go for breakfast, and they had a Scottish breakfast. So you would get your beans, your fried tomato, you'd get your square sausage, your haggis, like you would get all of those, and it was just a giant plate of fried. So good. Back when I could eat whatever I wanted.
I still think one of the best things I enjoy is the odd time we go to a diner, I start ordering, and it's happened a few times where the waitress will be like, honey, that's a lot of food you order in there. And my wife will just tap her. She's like, don't you worry about him. So, I could go all day long with breakfast, baby.
So how was the last 6 months at Fort Badass with just you and your boy? that had to be a kind of a brutal experience. I'm sure was that the longest stint you guys have gone apart?
Yeah. No, I went overseas for 9 months. 11 years ago, but it was before
That was
that.
pre-kid too, so that was probably right. So that was a completely different scenario, I'd imagine.
Yeah. So it was that was a little bit of a different scenario. But it was a lot of work. I mean, very little time to train, going into the garage gym at 10:30 at night to get a couple sessions in, so it was it is what it is, man. You got to do what you got to do, right? So it's about getting him to school and everybody fed, and it's pretty well about it. So, but it is definitely fantastic. She's back. So
nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations with that.
For those who don't know, she was away for 6 months there. So it was estrogen free house, Fort Badass. No
Speaking
pants allowed.
Of famous Mrs. Scants, how did she beat us for first comment? So first comment is something we haven't talked about yet, which is a race that we stopped caring about 3 months ago because one person just keeps winning, so nobody cares to try anymore. Clear,
he sold his soul to the devil for a 15-minute head start.
You know what? Probably, and it is crazy how much of a head start that person gets. But one day, Mrs. Scants won, and it was kind of crazy.
Dude, there is I don't even know how to explain it with the algorithms there. I have sat beside her with like 3 iPads going, like an iPad, a couple iPads and a phone, just like, what is going on here? Trying to figure it out. And she's like, ding, I just got a comment in. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And literally like 2 minutes later, bing, hey, dummy, it's time for you to make a comment. Like, this is garbage, man. So it was, that's how I figured that Big Matt sold his soul. That's the only way to do it. So I basically get involved in the race for 9th comment now because anybody can be first. I've been first. That's whatever, man. You got to get that niche 9th comment, dude.
I get second a lot to Matt, but again, I mean, I'm doing it naturally. He's over there, He's
an enhanced commenter.
Yeah, he's geared up over there.
Yep. Well, and there's the funny one too because you'll look and you'll see. I'll do a refresh on it, and it's like, Joey shadow banned, or the Canadians are shadow banned, or half the Americans aren't there, or something like that. And so I'll post it up, and Keith will reach out. He's like, "This is bullshit, man. I got freaking second." I'm like, "Nope, not. I got video proof, man. I'm first one up too, so you can't deny it." So, but it's very weird.
We're all posting screenshots of like the top 3, and it's all completely different. We'll we either post it to our stories or go to the Discord and post it. Massonomics Discord. If you're not a member, go join. And it's just like, what the heck? Like I literally I'm seeing on my screen that I came in second place, and then like you see like 3 Canadians jumped ahead of you on their phone, and I'm like, well, that's just very strange.
It's the conversion rate, buddy. It's total conversion rate. That's our comments are worth 1.6 comments.
But I think we can all agree on that Matt cheats. So that's all we need to walk away from this segment with, is that Matt is a cheater.
So this one comes from, I want to say, one of the chocolate chips. I didn't have their name written, but I want to know. She wanted to know, how many different strength sports have you competed in? Which one would you like to try next if it's one you haven't done?
Okay, if you include bodybuilding, I did a few bodybuilding shows. Then I got sick of the politics of that, and I used to work with a guy who was a powerlifter. So I finished my last show on a Friday night, and I walked in Monday. I'm like, dude, you eat steak and a bag of fucking Skittles, and I'm licking an apple and eating 2 almonds for my meals. What do you do? And so he got me on powerlifting. I'd always lifted and stuff like that, but when I started back in the day, it was such a niche sport that you couldn't find it unless you stumbled over it. So, and the only people you knew were bodybuilders, Arnold and all this kind of stuff. Right. So, but then as powerlifting started to come up in 2012, 13 type of thing, I got into it. there and starting pretty late. I enjoyed it. I enjoy the routine. I enjoy the monotony of training. I like that ability to shut off. So then I got sick of sucking so hard at bench because of shoulder issues. And it's funny, the Masters Life, you'll see a guy with a 300-pound squat, 150-pound bench, and then a 680 deadlift. But it's because of injuries and stuff like that. Like I got guys that have knee issues that can't squat worth shit that are benching 500. So I started, I did my first deadlift at 43 years old. So pretty far behind the 8 ball. And then I stumbled across a strongman competition once and jumped in on that. And I was like, ooh, like me being not maximally strong in 1 rep maxes, but still having to be able to run a bit for work, I can kind of counter a lack of max 1 rep power with being faster in events than some guy that is strong as shit but can't move. So that got me in a strongman, and that's my main focus right now. And then I was at a Highland Games event, and I was like, I wonder if I could turn a caber. And anyways, and it's kind of funny with a lot of these strength sports. Like, again, when you think of when I was back doing bodybuilding, everybody thinks a bodybuilder is like, 280-pound Ronnie Coleman, and not realizing that. You guys have both been to the Arnold, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'll see a 112-pound bantamweight, and you'll realize that it's literally at all sizes and stuff like that. And the same as powerlifting, everybody's not a Blaine Sumner. You'll get somebody that's literally 110 pounds that's squatting 4 times their body weight, something ridiculous, right? Strongman was good for that. We always think of Brian Shaw and Thor, but you watch the guys that are U80s and U90s, you're like, God damn, boys, you are savages, man. So anyways, I thought Highland was kind of out of the realm of possibilities because those are big lads. And I'm talking to a guy at the base gym one day, and he said something about there's a very large, like the largest North America Highland Games where I was at in Ottawa. And he said something, yeah, I'm going down for the tug of war competition. We had 2 regiments that did an annual thing. And he's like, I normally throw. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I normally throw Highland. And I'm like, dude, you're like 200 pounds. He's like, yeah. And that's what it started. And I got him in contact with somebody else, and I did my first games. And so now I do that. So there's 4. What do I got left to do?
Little arm wrestling, maybe? A little arm wrestling?
Joints would not take that.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think of what else is left. You named like 90% of the strength sports that our friend, us and our friends do. So there's not a big
I'll freaking do anything, man. Like that's pretty well a bit it. I just like competing. I like doing anything. I don't like long sports. Like, hey, do you like golf? I'm like, nope. I can't pay attention that long. So I like doing these.
As much cardio as you do. Have you ever done any marathons, half marathons, 5K, 3K, anything like that? That would be up your alley. I would think to some extent.
For my job, I had to run a lot, especially when I was still for those who don't know, I'm in the Army. When I was still leading troops and stuff like that, you still have to. The military has a culture for running. So I've done military events like a couple times. Did an Ironman. It's one of the base. They call it an Ironman competition. It's like was it 32 kilo run with a 50-pound rucksack, and then you grab a canoe and portage it 4 or 5 Ks, and then paddle it for 8, 9 Ks, and then do another 5, 6 K run. So military style stuff, but not. I think the longest I've ever run. I've never done races, but in training for stuff like that, I do 20K runs, 25K runs. But I mean, that was 175 pounds, not 225. So I'm more of a sprint guy now. I'll take you out in 100 meters, but at 101, you live to see another day. So
you're not going to run too many people down at 105 then, right?
No, honest to God, I don't have the mental capacity to do that for long terms. I'm just too, my brain's too hectic, and I can't have that much time to think. I get right in my own head. So just get it over, get done, and get into the next set in the squat rack. So who knows what's next, Sarah? I tease my wife, and maybe I'll be a triathlete. You never know.
Oh, Olympic. Geez, I forgot. You could do Olympic lifting.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I got the mobility.
Well, if his joints won't allow arm wrestling, I don't think his joints are going to allow Olympic lifting. That is some very over the hill. Oh.
As soon as you finished talking, I zoned out and I was like, what other strength sports are there? I actually met a family of arm wrestlers at the pub I go to. I sat down one day and I just turned to the one guy. I was like, you're kind of jacked. What do you do? And then he was like, oh, my whole family, we professionally compete in arm wrestling. And I'm just like, cool. I am a mediocre powerlifter. That's nice to meet you.
It's fun. Well, I'm fascinated by anybody in competing. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the girls at work we were talking a couple days ago, and she was saying how we were talking about her partner lives elsewhere there right now, and said something, oh yeah, when she's in competition mode. I'm like, what's she do? She competes in lumberjack competitions. And I'm like, boom, tell me more.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what event it is, what sport it is. I'm so fascinated. If you told me you're a world champion chess player, I'm like, how do you train for that? Like, do you have to do anything dietary different? Do you do like physical stuff, like to help improve your game and all that stuff? I'm just fascinated by anything, just any, how would you say it? Human endeavor thing like that. I'm always very fascinated when you see somebody that's competing or training at a high level in any event. I enjoy knowing about it. And, you know, I don't diss anybody that whatever. I don't yuck anybody's yum, as they say. If you like doing it, I'm interested in how you do it. So I don't try and sell me on it, but tell me how it's better than mine or yours or whatever. I don't care about that. Enjoy your own stuff. But yeah, I'm very fascinated when we are probably moving to Europe next year when I retire, and very close to Spain. And they have a Basque stone lifting is one of their big cultures. It's something I saw on Netflix, and I'm like,
Martin's had a video about that, I think, in the last couple of months. That was very intriguing. And that actually was one of our questions that we didn't get to was, you do have a big, so you said maybe, I thought earlier it was pretty much set in stone. Okay. So feel free to tell us anything about that if you want. I remember you just saying it was going to be a very big like time zone shift and like, you know, obviously a complete cultural shock, and why that location, I guess.
No snow is a big one. So we're heading to Portugal is where we're going. Like it's good for expats. It's good for good quality of life, good healthcare. It's kind of like just overall, we were trying to find where we're going to land when we retire. And so we're just, you know, we're both East Coasters. The province I grew up on, if you can survive Prince Edward Island winter, you are hardy stock. It's a beautiful island in the summer. It's very touristy. It's a tourist-driven island. Guys like, oh my God, I'd love to live here. It's like, just come over for 2 weeks in January, bud. Give her a go. Because it is, once you see your first 22-foot snowdrift and then grass 15 feet away, it's pretty daunting. So we're like, yeah, let's get into someplace warm, but someplace unique, you know, and it ties up with Laddie Boy's shift into middle school. And so we're looking at a place, you know, we shopped around for some towns. My wife likes doing all the staff work and all that stuff. She likes checking out, she loves doing the research. So I just sit here and lift weights and cook her meals, and she does all that stuff for me. And anyways, yeah. So the one thing that sucks is we did a trip there a couple months ago when she had a couple weeks off, and there's almost what appears to be very little strength community there type of thing. There's a couple gyms, a few little small gyms, but it doesn't seem, I couldn't find anything about competition, powerlifting, strongman anywhere close. It looks like they do one national level strongman competition, but it looks like pretty high level stuff versus so anyways, so then I got looking at that Basque stuff, and I'm like, dude, I wonder if I can lift one of those rocks. So who knows what I'll do, boys? Who knows what I'll do?
Nice. Maybe a Lift Hard, Live Easy classic in Portugal.
Maybe my own. I may be the first affiliate gym in Europe.
Oh,
I mean, we got Big Matt over there in Amsterdam. He may get the first one if he gets it. He may get it before me, but
with nowadays so many virtual meets and different. I mean, obviously we talked about Joe and the garage gym competition, but I know if you're on the Discord, they put 2 or 3 different meets on a year, and the home gym Discord, and I mean, there's a variety of different things you can get into virtually to compete, to still get that camaraderie and that like kind of just lifting an environment if you're completely solo and down there. How are you? Are you looking to basically try to just ship all your gym equipment down there and spend 30 grand in a shipping container, or are you just going to try to figure all that out?
No, don't give him any ideas. Don't give him ideas, because all those strength go plates are going to make their way right over here to Ontario.
It is that is the biggest part that we have to look into for that. Like
just thinking
the one thing saving grace about having most of my stuff is strongman is it's not a lot of volume, but it's a lot of weight. Like pile of plates, all my sandbags can be emptied out, all that kind of stuff. So how to figure out the move is the biggest portion. So, but I've put it to stipulations. I just need a garage to put my gym in. I don't care about anything else.
No basements? You wouldn't be okay with the basement?
Are there basements in Portugal?
No, I can't imagine there would be, right?
No, there are. The biggest issue was, so I used to lift in the basement when I was in Ottawa, and I had literally like a 6x8 chunk in this little tiny closet downstairs, and I competed at powerlifting and I did all this stuff. When I switched to strongman, it became a pain in the ass because of moving events. So having to haul 400 or 500 pounds of plates up the stairs every day and sandbags and this and that. So, and the ceiling was very low, so I couldn't do overhead work. So that was my shift to the garage. And then once I got that, I'm like, dude, doors open, sun going, I'm cool, boys. I like this. So
how did you say the word garage? Was that just like a slip, or is it a dialect thing? It sounded very unique to me just now.
I say garage.
Oh wow, that is this is another bag situation I think on our hands.
Yeah, it's garage or garage.
Garage. It's a mini barn. It's a mini barn out in the back.
Yeah. So it's
So speaking of affiliate gyms, I think we should do our ad read. So today's ad read is obviously going to be about massonomics.com/join. To become a supporting member, join the Discord crew, have the potential of being called up to this podcast and doing what, we're all doing right now, which is talk about each other and ourselves. But I did want to kind of talk about a product, and I see some notes here, and I really like this. So whoever came up with this one, good work. Your banners. What Massonomics banners do you have? Which one is your favorite, or which one did you wish you have?
Me?
Everybody. Let's all talk about it.
Oh. Shit, dude. I got to go take a look and see what I got.
Well, you think about that, and I can answer if you want. If you think, so I got a Don't Curl in Me. I got the Massonomics podcast flag. I got the Massonomics pennant. I got the Bench Heavy banner. I've got the Massonomics, just their actual logo, but I had it custom made in orange, so the black with the orange text and whatnot.
That was super dope. I like that one, dude.
That might. Oh, I've got the lift banner and a lift flag. And if I had to mention my favorite, I would definitely go with the Bench Heavy banner. Love that thing. I think the Bench Heavy banner gets the most appreciation. I mean, the Don't Curl in Me flag probably gets the most snickers, but like, I don't know. I think I gravitate towards the Bench Heavy the most, I guess, just because I don't know. I grew up drinking Busch Light, so it was just like, to me, it just kind of like resonates a little more for me personally. Oh, Scants actually got up and is going to the garage to look to see what he has.
I had to, dude. I had to look, man. Lift Hard, Live Easy, the podcast, Big Jonathan, Daddy's Home, Don't Curl in Me, got the 8-bit Strongman, Lift Shit, Curls, Weights a Number. Of course, I got my Strength Co. Training Continues, my Obsidian Ammonia, Silence Plus Violence. I got my
those aren't our sponsors, Mr. Scants. We got to stick to the sponsors. We got to stick to the script, or they're going to cut our funding.
It don't matter.
He's just so overwhelmed and happy in his happy place.
The problem that we have with the vinyl banners is shipping them across the border. There was a lot of them you can't get because of the size. Like the shipping is just absolutely redonk. So probably the one. I mean, it's pretty easy to say which one is the one that we missed. It's the original Crispy Boy lineup with the illegal.
I should have got that one when we had the chance.
Yeah.
I actually don't. I only have 2 Massonomics banners. I have the podcast one that came out for the 300th episode, and I have the pennant. And I have the pennant signed by a bunch of people at the Arnold on the Sunday that I had a few drinks and thought, hey, everybody come sign this. Or it might have been the end of Saturday.
It's freaking awesome.
I don't know, but there is one I have, and it's actually, again, the story I always tell of how I got into Massonomics, which is the band one. So that is actually not hanging in my gym, but that is probably my favorite one.
Which one is it?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on the band one also.
The BANNED.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it, but
I'm like, I've got an AC/DC shirt one. Is that what he's talking? I'm so confused.
Like,
the band,
the boys got a band?
No, that's my favorite, and it's actually the one that got me into the podcast. So
nice.
Yeah, that would be. I actually laughed. Until the Huge Life came out, my first order, they were all gone. My first orders was the Curl Hard, the band, and again the Huge Life. So somebody commented something a bit like, recreate your first order. I'm like, in full sadness, I can't.
Yeah, can't.
Yeah.
This shirt, actually, the Numero Uno and the Huge Life shirt, were the ones I always wanted. And I always see them, and I was always bugging the hosts, like, when are you bringing them back? Like, and I actually don't think I've ordered one since. If there was a banner that I would want, it would be the Pursuit of Strength. I found that one.
I still can't believe they didn't get you that, Joey.
I think it is it's not overly silly, but silly enough. But just like Reign's true, that the Pursuit of Strength never ends. There's just, once you start doing it, it just becomes more. I need more.
And I'm still waiting for the Masters version of the, Masters in age, but old is a feeling.
Age is a number, old is a feeling.
That's it.
So I do want to call back briefly, Scants. So you said you started powerlifting in like 2012, 2013, and you were literally already a master's. Like, you were over 40 when you did your first meet. Like, that's impressive. Like, to have I always think I was late 20s, and I already thought I was kind of almost like, everyone else at the meet was freaking like 20. So I was already like 10 years older than half the people. So you walked into your first meet, virgin meet, like literally 40-ish. That's impressive. I'll give you kudos for that, my friend.
But I mean, like I said, I've been lifting weights since I was 16 when I started lifting weights.
But trying something new in general at any age is always, I feel like the older you are, the harder it is to try new stuff. Like,
there's also, it may be, but once you hit a certain age, you don't give too many shits about stuff either. There's a lot of,
that's true too. Yeah. As soon as I said it, I was like, there's the flip side of that coin.
Yeah. No, that said, like, I kind of laugh that, as I say that, I'm just like the Lift Hard Classic, I'm just going to go hard. You know what I mean? If I PR, great, but it's not a flippant attitude. I still, whatever I train, I go fucking balls to the wall. There's no going soft about it. And, but yeah, I don't sweat it. If, again, I went out the other day there and I was expecting a couple different numbers for the garage gym competition. It was like,
the what?
Well, she's not the garage gym competition. I'm like,
I can't understand you.
But it was like, I'm not sweating it, dude. I just came off quite a few months of very limited sleep and very limited training and stuff like that. And it's like, whatever. It's a little bit of different perspective. So the days of beating myself up for missing a top set that I was going to hit. Hey, dude, you got 3 hours sleep last night and work's been crazy and stuff like that perspective. So, but that said, I'm still fucking 100% going balls to the wall. But
did you end up going all variations on that? Like you had hinted at, I think the night, or I can't remember, at one point in the last couple of days, you had said you thought you were going to do a lot of variations for the lift, because that's one of the benefits of that comp is that it's not really strict as far as as long as you notate in the submission that you did a variation, they're usually pretty cool.
Well, I laugh because they were all pretty normal lifts, but for me, I stopped bench pressing near 4 years ago because we don't do it in strongman, so I don't do it. And so I benched, I think I did a floor. I did a bench for the last GGC. And that was the first time I benched. I think it was at least 2 years. And I think I did a floor press the one before that. So I went in and did a little work up there a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, I can't even do comp width anymore. My shoulders aren't going to take it. So I'm now friggin' team close grip. So, and, straight bar squat. And I don't usually straight bar squat because it's not required in strongman. So it's that to me, I threw a set of wraps on. I haven't used wraps and I don't even friggin' know when. So that was my unique. To me, unique was a straight bar wrapped.
That's funny. So your odd lifts were basically competition lifts for powerlifting.
Competition lifts.
You have been when's the last meet you've done? When's the last meet you actually logged in the books, like a sanctioned powerlifting meet?
Oh, I think I am the.
It sounds like this July meet's going to be like years removed from your last one.
2017 or 18.
Okay, well, yeah, it's a
it's
good
been
gap.
A while. Oh yeah, well, like I said, I got out of it, and where I was at, there was a little bit more politics that I didn't agree with.
No politics on here, Scants.
Well, and that's the friggin' thing, boys. We're just picking heavy shit up. You're not the Olympic organizing committee. We're just picking heavy shit up. Stop taking yourself so serious. So I got a little sour taste in my mouth and I walked away from it. And down here in the East Coast, it's a fantastic group. It's a lot smaller group. So it's we all know each other. So, it's great people and all that kind of stuff. It's just, anyways. So I got away from it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I love doing powerlifting competition. I love doing any competition. So, and so I'm kind of looking forward to this one because I don't even have a clue what I can squat anymore for 1 rep max. I have no idea what I can bench. Deadlift, I can probably figure it out a bit, but I haven't really maxed a straight bar deadlift till the other day. I did like an elevated,
a lot of axle pulls, I imagine.
Axle
or block pull, like
rep work
elevated pulls.
Yeah, so I actually did that the other day. I threw, I don't know what 6-inch blocks under. I think I did an axle pull with a 6-inch block because I've got a silver dollar deadlift coming up in my next competition. So it's 18-inch, 16-inch. So there's no use pulling from the floor. So anyways, my pull didn't go good. So I just dropped it to the floor, put a straight bar on and gave another go. I'm like, no, you're still fucking stuck here, buddy. Take a knee. So, but I still enjoy the competition lifts except for bench press, but that's just shoulder issues and shit make it I won't say I can't get past a certain level. It just the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So I don't enjoy the lift anyway. So why do it?
That's why I won't be squatting at my next meet. I don't know if you guys you did both watch my video. If you watch the video of me squatting for the garage gym, and you can hear popping in that video, and I was like, I'm leaving that in there, but that was my knee. That was my knee that essentially sounded like a cement mixer.
And that's where I got you. I'm half deaf, so it sounded perfect.
I can't recall. Are you a knee sleeve guy? Do you wear knee sleeves? Are you toyed with knee sleeves, or are you a bare knee squatter?
Me or Scants?
Joey.
I wear wraps. Not wraps.
Okay.
Sorry, sleeves. Sleeves, not wraps. Yeah, sorry, sleeves. The ones that you are harder.
What did I say? Wraps? Shit, I meant to say sleeves.
Yeah, I wear sleeves. I have SPD sleeves. I just got matching SPD.
Okay. Oh, wow. So if you have, that's.
Well, I did physiotherapy for my knee.
Gotcha.
I think 2021, the year my daughter was born. I was in a car accident several years ago, and just ignored it as one does. Be a man, and but it never
stereo up.
It never really bothered me. It never really bothered me, but it was always kind of there. And it wasn't until I started lifting and, I would go to do a split squat and I'd fall over because there was just no stabilization. So I had to go and get that. And we got up to the point where I can still squat 3 plates, right? As I did comfortably, but like pushing it to 340 or 350, the reason I squat high is because I compensate, because I don't want to put any pressure on my right leg. So if you actually watch me squat anything over 3 plates, I hip hinge almost dangerously. So I just said, you know what? We're going to push pull this one and live with it. Now, if I had got to 750 between push and pull, I might do a token squat to crack 1,000, but I'm not going to get there.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for asking.
Yeah. Have you ever toyed with box squats? Do you do any box squats? Because I made my limited issues with my knee. I've had a tricky knee for years that's, had issues on and off. And I basically know like, my knee really hurts. I need to do a slightly elevated or a slightly above parallel box squat for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I can still squat some decent weight and have it be less painful. I just didn't know if that's something you've messed with at all.
I've done them, but it's not really.
It's just there's so much
Anything
damage
outside
underneath
of
that you're.
yeah, anything outside of Juggernaut, I'm not generally messing around with.
Gotcha.
Unless it's a sandbag or Denny stones when I'm just bored. So I think that after this meet that I do, I might just ramp down my Juggernaut and start really focusing on doing Denny stones, sandbags. I've got a 100-pound sandbag and 150, so I got to fill the 100, and I'm going to start doing a little more strongman implementation.
Is it just squats? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So we have this game we like to play.
You might be familiar with it.
You might be familiar with it if you've heard it before. It's called Overrated, Underrated. And we have a specific 6 sets of Scants-specific questions.
6 sets, man. That's a lot of volume.
Sets and reps, baby.
So I will preface some of this. This is going to be a lot of me asking you and then probably poorly explaining, because I get the feeling that with some of that, pretend rivalry between Americans and Canadians, that some of these questions might actually interest them. So, again, you have your druthers, but you do have to ride one horse. You cannot.
As long as I have druthers,
yes,
I'm cool.
Your druthers are completely welcome, but you do have to pick a horse. You cannot ride 2 horses with one ass.
Nope.
Okay.
No matter how thick.
Scants.
Yes,
Overrated or underrated?
Underrated.
All just chips.
I am going to say global context. So if I was talking to our friends north of the border here, I would probably say underrated. For us in Canada, I would probably say overrated. But I'm going to go with an overall. And I'm going to preface this. I'm not a chip guy. I don't eat chips a lot. If they're there, I'll eat it because, perma bulk. But I'm not a big chip guy. I'm going to say, damn it, I'm going to say underrated. Although I don't appreciate them very much, they're good chips. But I acknowledge that they're good chips. And if I was a chip guy, I'd probably eat the living hell right out of them. So I'm going to say underrated. Especially, my American brothers, you got to get some all-dressed chips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think someone needs to explain to the masses here. Massonomic is what the heck a all-dressed chip is.
Okay, so an all-dressed
what's the flavor?
All-dressed chip is a Canadian staple. I believe, and this might be controversial, but Ruffles makes the best ones. Miss Vicky's has stepped up, but Ruffles are the best. And they are essentially 3 or maybe 4 different flavors all in one. So there'll be your salt and vinegar, your barbecue.
Ketchup.
A little bit of
ketchup, some sour cream, onion.
That sounds too busy for me. No,
they end up going really well because they end up being just a little tart and finishing off really sweet.
Yeah. I find you kind of get like a ketchupy taste of them, like a really spicy.
Mm-hmm.
You really pick up that tomato kind of notes on it there. But it's
I will probably
it's not convoluted. It's good. It's it's got a bit of kick to it. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a habanero, but it's just got a little bit of buzz, right? So
I'll see if I can remember to bring some for you when I come down to South Dakota. Come up to South Dakota.
In the last year or so, I've been very exposed to Canadian culture in general, just by being part of the Massonomics Discord. There's got to be at least a dozen Canadians in there, right? Half a dozen to a dozen. Several.
Oh, there's
more than a handful of Canadians in the Discord that are active. Out of the 100 or so of us that are active daily, at least 10% of them are Canadian. But then also, Letterkenny is my biggest. Okay, so how accurate is Letterkenny? Is some of the stuff where they're like, is there like small towns just like Letterkenny, kind of, sort of, and like the rivalry that they have with the other towns as well? Is that a thing in Canada?
Joey, you got to take this one, buddy. You're upper Canadian, man. I have very little experience. I could talk Trailer Park Boys with you.
So Letterkenny is based on a town called Listowel, Ontario, which is just outside of Sudbury. And while obviously a TV show is going to be exaggerated, my brother or my cousin, he's one of the Hicks for sure. And I'm right there with him. You've got your skids that hang out the front of the dollar store dancing because they're on meth. I would say that it's obviously it's a television show, so it's not an overtly accurate portrayal, but all of us know one of those guys.
Gotcha. Good enough.
That's the thing. Another one you should probably watch is Out for a Rip.
Okay.
It's a rap song, and it's actually also like the first time I heard that, I turned to my cousin. I'm like, that's you. He's like, yeah, probably.
That's funny.
One of the funniest things, my cousin bought a house right next to a river, so he's just out in the woods. And this is again not proud of this moment. But
own it, baby, own it.
Me and him used to be always
Beautiful
the last
baby
ones
contest
awake.
winner said.
We were always the last ones awake. 2-3 in the morning. We're still drinking. We're still, shooting the breeze. And
the proper gentleman should be.
Of course. So he goes, I bought this house. I've never looked in that garage. And he goes and he opens the garage and he's going, they left all this shit. And then he goes, let's burn it. So him and I stayed up for 2 hours just burning everything in that garage. My hat bugged me. My hat ended up in the fire. And that's just because me and my cousin were just skids or hicks that just like, we got to get rid of this. It looks flammable. Okay. So yeah, everybody knows.
Issue with your decision.
Nope. The hat was the dumb thing because he was like, burn that hat. I was like, no, I love this hat. And then like half an hour later, I was like, I hate this hat, and just tossed it in. So
wasn't a Massonomics hat, was it? Because don't think I would trust how toxic and flammable all that methane gas stuck on that hat would be. Oh my god!
In my 20s.
I wouldn't put that damn thing in the fire if my life depended on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's an explosion waiting to happen.
Overrated or underrated? Alexander Keats.
Oh, damn it. I will say this. It is a acquired taste. It is an IPA, but it's a classic IPA. It's not the new hipster kind of double, triple filtered mocha frappuccino bullshitterosis there going on there. I am going to say underrated. It's a great friggin' beer. It's an East Coast beer. It's available now, but out west and stuff like that. But for the longest time, you could only get it in the East Coast.
Mm-hmm. Labatt purchased it.
Yeah, well,
Labatt purchased it and started spreading it out. Now they actually brew. When I buy Keats, it's brewed here.
Yeah,
it's a recipe brewed here in Ontario and distributed. Yeah. So it actually does taste a little different from when I had it out there.
It will, yeah, and I mean it's the same as you get beers, Western beers like Kokanee and stuff like that. Big Tyler and Big Jess and them will know the Kokanee and stuff like that. You could not get that until you were in Ontario. It just did not come east of Quebec. So I'm going to say underrated. I love it.
Underrated.
It's an awesome friggin' beer. I wish more people enjoyed the delightfulness that it is.
And now Alexander Keith is, of course, a Scottish import. He was imported, I believe, back in the 1700s or the 1800s.
It'd be something along those lines.
Because I think we just celebrated his 300th or something birthday or something like that. And he came in and he started brewing his IPA based on his family recipe. But then he became the mayor and he became the DA and he became he pretty much ran Halifax for years. And if you go to Halifax, you can still visit the original factory.
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of good East Coast bootlegging in there, and there's a few little skirting the letter of the law type of things in there that makes a good East Coaster, makes a good story.
Of course. And while you're in Halifax, don't forget to visit General Ross's grave. This is for my American friend. General Ross was the one who burnt down the White House. He demanded to be buried on British land, which at the time Halifax was. So they smuggled him in a rum barrel and buried him in Halifax.
Very fermented, I bet, by the time he got to the ground.
All right.
But on Keats real quick, I have always, so for clarity for myself,
Mhm.
There's not the only time I'm assuming this is the same beer that I've heard people reference. I've always heard it comes across in my ear as Keith's. I don't know if that's
It
just because
is.
I'm vain and I want to. So it does almost sound like my name to some extent.
It
There
is.
isn't a Keith beer on top of that.
It is Alexander
Keith's.
Keith's.
Okay.
But it's pronounced Keets.
Yes.
Keats.
But it's spelled like my
your
name, but it's
name.
pronounced
Yep.
EET. Okay. That
Yep.
makes more sense.
It's the Canadian accent. I'll have it Keats.
Oh wow. Okay. So that's my mind is blown.
Get the India.
We have a bit of a particular dialect and accent down this way in the East Coast. Even amongst the provinces, there's some people you can't talk to them. You have difficulty understanding the word out of their mouths.
All right. Thank you for that. Overrated or underrated? 155-pound bodybuilders.
Oh, good God. Overrated. Ridiculous.
And what,
This
Yeah,
was a
they were-
Mrs.
why do you have that
Scants,
answer? Why do you have
Oh
that
my
answer?
God. It was friggin' horrible. It was a horrible existence. It was, well, now that said, I would walk around about 175, but I'd trim down to 155 for bodybuilding shows. And it was, I was so tiny. I enjoyed the process, but I didn't enjoy the politics. But man, there's nothing better than capping 200. And actually, I used to compete 93 kilos to 204. So I would generally sit around 205, 206. And then when I shifted to strongman for masters at the time, it was under 105 kilos, so 231. And I pushed it up to 220, and I feel fantastic. As soon as I got up at 200, I felt lifting felt a lot more better. I felt a lot stronger. But then when I got up to 220, I've pushed it up to 230 and I don't feel good. My joints ache. And I kind of have a little nice sweet spot where, yeah, good God, that 150 was terrible.
So on local level bodybuilding like that, is there a weigh-in? Because it's like whatever the weight class
Yep.
is that you have to cut to. Do you actually like show up like 12 hours before, a
Yep.
day before, and do a weigh-in? Okay.
Friday night for a Saturday night show, you'd show up and weigh in Friday night, and it was weight.
And they're doing
categories,
dramatic
same
weight
as lifting.
cuts. They're doing similar dramatic water cuts like you do in a powerlifting meet. So you guys have bigger
it's
dudes cutting
beyond,
down to smaller weight classes.
Yeah, it would be, well, it's very. It was an enjoyable process because I enjoyed the science behind it. Like you set a plan, you follow your plan. So like, in the weeks leading, it's basically control starvation, getting down to weight. And when you see guys talk, oh, I'm doing a big what do they call cheat meal and stuff like that. And it, like, a cheat meal actually has a purpose of convincing your body you're not in starvation mode, because your body will if you're gradually starving yourself down for competition, in essence, your body at a certain point will start hoarding fat and deleting muscle, because it goes back to its Neanderthal brain where, we're going into a famine. We have to store our fat reserves. So you got to trick it into keeping it burning the fat. So they're same as any other sport. It's like, somebody says, oh, squatting. I remember I was in with a physiotherapist once and I was talking about my squat one time. She's like, oh, so you slap it on, you get up and down. And I started talking about like externally rotating knees and torquing this and pressing down with your big toe to raise your arch. And she's just like, holy fuck, you guys know what you're talking about. And I'm like, yeah, it's not, you don't just grip it and rip it. Like, and she was just like, and she's like, now I'm going to speak to you different. I realize, you're not just, I thought you guys just, pick it up and put it down. And it's like, no, there's a lot more to it than that. Right. So, but, yeah, you would, in the last couple of weeks, you're depleting all your carbs. So like on that Friday night when you weigh in, you have zero carbs left in you. You have zero water. Your skin is literally like as thin as tissue paper. So it was kind of funny. The first one we did, Mrs. Scants she was competing too. That's how I got into it when we moved in together. And so as soon as you weigh in, you start this carb load, which basically will fill your muscles. Your muscles are just like dried out sponges, and they're just like soaking up all these carbs. But without the water, your skin is paper thin. So all your muscular, your striations and your veins and stuff are popping. So we're hammering cheesecake and all this other rich, fatty food. And I'm like, this is bullshit, man. This is not working. I remember I get up about 2:00 in the morning, I go use the bathroom, and the light caught me and I look in the mirror. I'm like, holy fuck, I got these big abs and shit like this. It was pretty cool to see the science behind it work. So, but I mean, I would weigh in at 155 on a Friday night and I'd be 170, 175 on Monday morning because you're just loading the water and stuff. Like it is not a, but same as you see the boys do the 30-pound weight swings for a cut for powerlifting. It's not good for you. You know, and again, if you're 400 pounds, it's not the same as if you're 160 pounds trying to swing that big bullshit, right? So, yeah, 155 overrated AF.
All right. Moving on. What do you got next, Joey?
It's all right. Overrated or underrated? Tiger tail ice cream.
Oh shit, dude! No, I'm not a big fan. I'm a Moose Tracks guy, dude.
That's fair.
Yeah, I gotta be Moose Tracks.
So you're going underrated or overrated?
I will go. Shit, yeah, I'm gonna go overrated. It's I mean, it's good, it's okay, but I'm not a big orange fan, and I am not a black licorice fan at all. Like
I am a black licorice fan.
Yeah.
So everybody knows my penchant for Jägermeister. But so for those of you wondering, Tiger Tail ice cream is an orange ice cream that has jelly black licorice swirls in it.
Yeah, like
it's not a fondant. But it's a weird gel texture.
Yeah, it's almost like a fudge type of consistency or something. Maybe I guess you call it. Yeah, it's freaking weird. I don't know what you would describe that as.
Now I'm overthinking it. But either way, it's an orange ice cream with a black licorice swirl. And it's actually the only ice cream I will eat on purpose.
Orange like sherbet?
No, it's just it's a straight up orange ice cream. Yeah.
Okay, so an orange. Okay,
yeah.
So it threw me. I was seeing Tiger Tail ice cream on the thing, and all I could think of was Tiger Meat, the Aberdeen specialty, and I was like, if they're doing some Tiger Meat ice cream, that is going to be really, really gross.
No, but Tiger Tail ice cream is of course a Canadian delicacy.
Yeah,
it does. I would try it. I don't like licorice in general, but I love orange anything, so I would give it a shot if I was in Canada.
Scants brought up Moose Tracks. Is that also a Canadian specific?
Is that just like cookies and cream kind of thing, or
no? I believe that has peanut butter cups in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, little mini peanut butter cups, and
I think I've seen it. I think Ben and Jerry's has a Moose Tracks, I believe.
I think there's a version of it. Everybody's got a version. We just call it Moose Tracks. I think there's a little bit of fudge in it, maybe too, or something like a little swirl or something.
I believe it's a vanilla chocolate swirl with peanut butter cups. Oh, yeah. Speaking of Baskin Robbins had a ghost pepper orange during this last winter. Oh my God, it was incredible.
Shit, dude.
Yeah. Morgan took me down. I was like, I'm not going to Baskin Robbins. I don't eat ice cream. Right. I'm not going to Baskin Robbins.
You shut your mouth and do what she says.
Well, and then she goes,
eat that ice cream.
She goes, yeah, but look at that. And she showed me the poster and I was like, oh crap, give me 2 scoops of that. Like
road to 200 pounds, baby.
All right. So overrated Tiger Tail ice cream.
Yep. It's and then always caveat, it's good ice cream. I don't have a taste for it. That's very fair.
I don't work for Tiger Tail ice cream, so you're not offending me. I wish I did. All right. Overrated or underrated? The NWO white and black for life.
I mean, it's no Morgan Crew white and black.
No,
so those are the best stickers. I'm going to say those are the best stickers. So I'm just going to go overrated with that because Morgan's are that much better.
Yes, I've got a pile of them right here.
Yep, those are badass.
Now, why did I ask that question? Do you want to use your druthers on those?
For those that don't know, we've got our crew stickers out there, modeled on the NWO, and yes, Joey's lovely wife stepped in and threw her.
You have your own NWO, do you not?
Yeah, we got our wolf pack, the crew wolf pack.
All you geared lifters have that thing.
That's right. That's why I was asking, because you guys had a wolf pack.
You and NWO white and black. You're always and that Dylan
That's
guy.
It. That was the OG, man. That was the OG. Can't turn your back on the wolf pack, boys.
And the Wolfpack is not the black and white NWO though, no, so there's some controversy on what you just said.
Hollywood.
I mean, here the controversy is suddenly there's a T-shirt that somebody produced about a wolf pack, and I'm like, oh, are we getting royalties for that? We're the wolf pack. What's going on here, boys?
Okay.
So
NWO White and Black overrated in favor of Crew.
that's right.
Okay. And the last one, which is, of course, we always save the best one for last. And, this will dictate on whether or not we publish this podcast.
Yep.
Worth all the marbles.
Overrated or underrated? Carroll Stream, Illinois.
Fucking Carroll Stream, Illinois.
Fucking Carroll Stream.
They are so overrated with their little fancy. Oh, look at me. I moved it literally 2 streets over. It's progressing through our system. And then they send it right back to the other place. Like it changes the zip code to 1 number. Fuck, but I'm not dumb, Carroll Stream. I'm coming for you, Carroll Stream. At some point, I'm coming down there.
And how do they continuously find new places? So it used to be like it would go from Carroll Stream to this place up the road and then back to Carroll Stream. And then last time it went from Carroll Stream to like Elk Ridge. And I'd never seen Elk Ridge before.
Made up name.
Right?
They made it up.
I just don't understand how they're continuously finding new ways to screw around.
That's literally Gary's house across the street from the USPS.
Yeah, he just took it over so he could inspect my shorts.
They throw it across the street and it's like, yeah, just call me whatever. Call me something Illinois.
Yeah.
Friggin' jerks.
So for those of you who might not be privy, I imagine if you're listening to this, you are aware, whatever shipping method the podcast hosts use is it goes through the Carroll Stream sorting center before it comes to Canada. Now, in all fairness, as soon as it leaves Carroll Stream, it's here in 2 to 3 days. I think you said one day that they must drop it out of a helicopter. As soon as it leaves Chicago, at your house.
Canada Post is a bit of an arsehole for me. It'll take about 7 days to get from Ontario. I could literally drive up there and back in a day. But
for me, at least, being a little south of them. But it's sometimes, I think I set the record on 10 days in Carroll Stream. And it would leave Massonomics and it would go south to some other place and it would go to Carroll Stream. And I think, my record is 10 days it sat in Carroll Stream, just going back and forth.
My record was it went to Carroll Stream and then Carroll Stream decided to send it to Los Angeles. Yeah,
Jesus
it totally
Christ.
went. I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm seeing this post coming up and it's like getting these things. Hey, Big Scants, your package arrives in Los Angeles. I'm like, did I order something else from somewhere else? Or like, did my wife order something and like she didn't tell me about it? Like what the fuck's going on here? And then I'm tracking it back and I'm like, you arseholes sent it to Los Angeles. It's like, you know what this package needs some West Coast love and needs a little bit of sunshine, a little time down on Muscle Beach maybe there. And it took a long roundabout trip. That one took about a month to get to me. I was just like, dude, this is ridiculous. I could drive to Los Angeles and back.
And I don't want, while we're on this, I don't understand because if I order from Ghost, right, which is the supplement company, it's 3 days. It leaves Las Vegas. It's here in 3 days, and the shipping.
It's leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Has Joey seen it?
I have not. Okay. At least not since I was a kid. But it's the same cost and shipping, and it shows up in 3 days. Norse Fitness comes use SPS, roughly the same cost and shipping. Shows up in 4 days. So I don't know what Carroll Stream's doing, but it is not efficient. So as all
it's like they decided to take it for a drive and met Brock the Rock that hung up for a week.
So it's definitely made for good entertainment for all us Americans that get our deliveries in 3 to 5 days, I'd say. I don't think I've had anything
5
go
hours
longer than 5 or 6 days. Depending on what day of the week you order it, if you're counting the weekend and all that, like everything's been within a week. Our orders show up. So I do not envy you guys waiting up to a month to get something. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand how Scants couldn't live any farther east and be in North America, basically, right? Like you are about as far as Eastern North American that physically exists.
You'd have to go
where you're in another time zone. You were not even in the Eastern time. That's one thing. I didn't know there was a time zone that was part of North America that wasn't Eastern. Like I thought the most Eastern time zone was Eastern Standard. That was part of North America. And Scants is an entirely different time zone that I didn't even know about.
There's one more past us. Newfoundland is a half an hour.
Newfoundland just had to be different. They waited to join Confederation, and then they just waited that extra half an hour to do it. Yeah, and it's the only half an hour time zone.
Oh wow, that's a
in the
half.
world.
Ooh, that's weird.
It's a
That's
half-hour
strange.
time
Yep.
zone to go to Newfoundland. The
That's
Rock.
so weird.
The Rock, we call it.
I've never that blows my mind.
Newfoundland's wonderful. Newfoundland is just a gorgeous place. Can't say I'd live there, but it is one of the greatest Canadian provinces I have seen in full. Well, I think that about does it, boys. How you feeling?
I'm good.
Feeling cool. I'm feeling cool beans, boys.
Did you have anything, Scant? There's one thing I know we're running a little late, but did you have any quick one hitters for Joey and I? Like a 30-second answer, anything that you wanted to know about us or thought would be witty or funny or come across good that would basically flip the script and ask the host something? Or the other crew host, that is?
Probably not too much you'd be able to answer. I'd be curious maybe what the other podcast hosts are if they're feeling the heat coming down, feeling the pitter patter, as we say in hockey terms, where you hear that pitter patter coming up. Hear those
There's
little
a
feet
lot of
coming up behind
activity.
you.
I feel
Like,
that I feel that the Crewcast channel in the Discord is pretty popping. I mean, there's mornings I get in there. So there's like 20, 30 new comments. Granted, some of the original threads are might have his beat, but I think we're holding our own.
But you know what? We're gonna. It's as the boys say. Rising tide raises all ships. So it's like there's nothing better. I mean, again, throwback doing what I do, Masters. A lot of times I'm competing by myself. That's fun. I still go hard, but there's absolutely nothing better than having a couple guys there with you, spurring you on and fucking chirping each other and having a good go. So yeah, it's all good, boys. Road to 700 podcasts.
It's absolutely. I think my favorite thing has been seeing people like comment stuff on the public Discord that like proves that they listened to the entire episode and they walked away with an opinion. Like that's awesome. Like Jen had so much to say about, like, so many people like picked up on little things that like I wouldn't even consider a topic, and then there would be like conversations about it, and I was like, that's pretty cool to like someone listened to us talk for 90 minutes and came away with enough stuff that they went to a message board and typed it in and was like, that's awesome.
Yep. Well, and I mean, it's the community we have too. Like, it's very funny. It's if you were to look at it, somebody would say it's like, again, I got buddies like, you're flying to South Dakota to go to a powerlifting meet with a bunch of dudes you've never actually met. I'm like, yeah. Well, and what's wrong with you? You wouldn't?
I've met these guys. I talk to them every day.
Well, and I mean, that's what's funny. Like, how many times have, I don't know, I'm chatting on, quick little side DM and stuff like that. And like, just normal chit chat stuff. Like it's, I guess, funny for the old guy to do it, but in the new world, I mean, this is how a lot of the young fellas get by and thrive and survive. It's the online community, all this stuff. So there's nothing better than, again, seeing this, and it's nice to see a pile of dudes and our chips, like just a pile of people that are not worried. Dude, we're just here to have fucking fun.
Yeah.
The best part, let's lift some shit and bang some friggin' weights and crack some crispy boys and rock the house, man. Too many people get worried. And so, yeah, like I am so looking forward to the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic, boys. This is going to be, hey, everybody.
The venue's going to be
post
crazy.
Today, it's like $5 to get in. Oh, dude, I hear there's going to be explosives.
Yeah, there's going to be fireworks and whatnot.
Yeah, I hear that.
Not fireworks, but
just randomly do. I think we can bring our own fireworks. I heard there's no rules. I heard it was declared.
There's definitely going to be some explosions in the bathroom, I imagine, after weigh-ins.
That's it. I mean, it's no Arnold, but but yeah, fantastic. Like I said, it's great sitting in the Discord and chit chatting about nothing. The Discord about nothing.
Does anyone else have to explain to people what Discord is? Like when they ask about Mastodon, like, so you said, okay, so here's how I've had some conversations. So you're on a podcast. Yep, I do a podcast with some buddies. What's it about? Another podcast. Well, what's that about? It's about a bunch of random stuff, but we're also in a Discord together. What's a Discord? It's like a big group chat. Like it's so many different levels to explain like what we're doing to like outsiders that it's almost comical because it takes like if I had to type it out, it'd be like 3 paragraphs of like, this is why we do what we do. So like if you're not in the know, you might not love our podcast, but I think to the 100 or so people that are listening to it every week, we're going to keep bringing it to you guys. So keep on giving us good feedback, and we'll keep molding this into what we all want it to be, because it is for us. It is by us and for us.
And I mean, I think it would depend too. Like if you get into there is there's that Venn diagram of, if you get some dude that's a gamer or something, it's like, yeah, Discord. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah, we got our own Discord now. Oh, okay, cool, I got you. Mm-hmm. It's just that little crossover stuff. If you have to explain it, it doesn't. Do you know what Discord is? No, it's like a mess. It's like a forum, like a message board forum type of thing. Oh,
it's MSN for young people.
Yeah, that's it. Or moderately old people.
Yeah. Well, great talking to you, Scants. I think everybody can remember to find us on our new Instagram, which is unpaid.underrated.podcast. It is performing quite well. I am having a lot of fun. I'll tell you, combating some of the weird bots, because it's a podcast chat.
Are you getting a bunch of the sex bots already too?
I'm having
Even though it's
so
like we've got a pretty small pace. That's crazy. Like I figured that I always thought that the sex bots and stuff were like based off of who you followed. Like if you followed a couple like
being a
cuties,
fitness,
that's why you get all the porn.
No,
bots.
being
so
a
you're getting
fitness
porn bots
adjacent,
just off following us. That's
being
crazy.
A fitness adjacent podcast. Then we get.
That's frustrating.
I still get like just hey, or some of them are sexy like thirst traps, but they just want to offer me financing tips. Or they'll be like, hey, you looking to make $2,000? I'll be like, yeah, like I'm on a new podcast. Tell me. So, but remember though, we are unpaid.underrated.podcast.
We have a
we'll
website
work for
too.
banners.
We do have a website. The website is unpaidinternpodcast.com. Guys, where can we find you?
Find me at Keith Honeycutt 73 on Instagram.
I'm just kind of hanging out, boys. Scants 1. Find me on Friday afternoons, popping in the garage.
And I am
friggin' things.
I am at Joey_Malesko, MLECZKO. Of course, follow our podcast page and follow Massonomics. And remember, if you found this at all interesting and you're not already a supporting member, become a supporting member. Maybe some good things happen. Maybe you join Perk City. Maybe we see you in South Dakota in July. Of course, I want to say...
Maybe get a leg tattoo.
Maybe get a dumb leg tattoo. Got me. One new feature that we have is you can go to unpaidinternpodcast.com/2 big_Matt. And that is, of course, our apology to Big Matt Mostly Squat Videos for not being able to get him on this week. We really tried to work in that timing again but it didn't work out. So hopefully next week. And Keith, you want to sign us off with our specialty sign off here?
All right. So we pretty much have a set in stone schedule. We're going to be recording every Thursday, and all our podcasts will come out Tuesday morning. So see you next Tuesday.